How's it going, all you beautiful people? I want to talk about what the hardest thing about Pokemon card vending is. And the Pokemon company itself already takes care of the real hardest part about selling things, which is the marketing. When someone goes to a Pokemon card show, they know what they want. They want Pokemon cards. They know what Pokemon cards are. A lot of people typically know which Pokemon cards they want. So you don't have to worry about the marketing part. Pokemon, the company, already does that for you, and that's typically the hardest thing about selling stuff. So this is the hardest thing about vending, knowing that Pokemon already takes care of the real hardest part about selling something. And the hardest part about Pokemon card vending is getting inventory. And the reason why that is the hardest part is everyone that does Pokemon card shows, everyone that has an LGS store, a local game store, they need product. So typically they'll go and try to buy product from other people for a reasonable price, because people that are trying to get inventory will not buy a card for 90 to 100% if they're trying to sell it for 90 to 100%, because, for example, an LGS has overhead costs, they have rent costs, worker costs. If you're trying to vend at a card show, you have table fees, and you're not going to pay the table fees to go to a show to sell cards for exactly how much you bought it for. So a lot of people will typically try to buy cards for around 70 to 80%. And I actually don't think that buying a collection from someone for 80% is that bad of a deal. And this is why. If you wanted to sell your collection today, you would have to list everything on TCG Player or eBay or whatever platform you want to use, all the items one by one. And then no one's going to buy all of your items. So let's say you have 100 items you need to list. No one's going to buy all 100 items on the first day you list it. No one's even going to buy it on the first week you list it. So if you're trying to sell it at 100% of the market value, it's going to take a little bit of time for people to slowly buy it, because when people buy stuff for 90 to 100%, they're only going to buy it if they actually want it, because they're paying full price for it. They're not going to buy it to try to flip it. Or they might just buy it because they think it's a good card that can go up in price later. So there are two situations where they can buy it. But those are the two situations where they can buy it. And let's say you do go through all that and you do sell everything. When you sell everything, you're only going to get about 85% of what you sold it for, because there's eBay fees, or if you use TCG Player, there's TCG Player fees. You got to pay for your shipping costs of buying the shipping material. And then not only that, you have to deal with people that complain when they get their package. They might say that their package is missing when they actually did receive the package, or they might say that the card or product that they got isn't what they expected, so they're going to want to return. So you have to also deal with all that. Whereas if you do sell for 80%, you'll get 5%, around 5% less than if you were to sell it on TCG Player or eBay for 100% of the market value. Only 5% less, and you can sell everything at once. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about shipping it out and then getting complaints. You don't have to worry about waiting for people to buy it. So when people say that, I don't know why people are selling their whole collection to a vendor for 80%. I actually think it's a pretty good deal. Like, if I wanted to liquidate a certain collection of cards I had and I needed the money soon, I would sell it and happily sell it to someone for 80%, because the reality is a lot of these cards have gone up a lot in price over time too. So yeah, I mean, you can sell all at once to someone and then they'll take it and then get their 10 to 20% margins from it. It really depends. So I don't think that's that bad of a deal. But back to the main point, the hardest part about Pokemon card vending is getting the inventory. And it's hard because everyone that does Pokemon card shows, everyone that has an LGS wants to buy inventory, because if you watch my previous videos, I have previous videos of my sale numbers at my first 5 days of card shows this year. And I'm pretty transparent about it. If you want to know other numbers, I mean, I'm transparent about numbers because I do this for fun. I have a full-time job. I don't plan on replacing my full-time job with this. So I'm totally okay being fully transparent with my numbers. So you can go watch those numbers. Those are actually my most popular videos on YouTube by a good amount. So I know that people like watching the numbers and seeing the numbers of what I sold at card shows. So go ahead and watch those. But yeah, back to the main point. A lot of car shows that I went to, I sell about 10 to 20% of the inventory that I bring. And other people that I've listened to, that's typically the number of what you'll sell, about 10 to 20% of your inventory. So if you go to a couple card shows and you sell 10 to 20% of your inventory each time, you're going to eventually run out of inventory. But this is a problem that all vendors at Pokemon card shows have. So all vendors at Pokemon card shows need to find a way to get inventory, which is why I say that is the hardest part. Because actually having the inventory going to the show, as long as you like Pokemon, as long as you're friendly, as long as you're pricing it at market price or 90% of market price, or willing to let it go for a 90 to 100%, which is what most vendors will sell cards or slabs for. I mean, people will buy it. They'll go to your table and buy it. So, but the problem is, if you go to enough card shows, without replenishing your supply of inventory, you're gonna run out of cards to sell. So the hardest part of vending at card shows is getting the inventory. And I know that at card shows, a lot of people try to buy cards from other people, but every table is trying to buy cards from other people. So you're in competition with everyone at the card show. I mean, part of the fee you pay to be at the card show is that so you can get access to not only sell, but then buy from people that are specifically going there to sell stuff to vendors. But everyone's trying to buy. And for me personally, I don't want to be that pushy. So I don't really push too hard to ask someone if they're selling stuff or try to persuade someone to sell me stuff. A lot of times when I'm buying something, I really only buy it when someone brings it up first, because like I said, this isn't my full-time job. I don't need to make a living off of this. I do need inventory if I want to keep doing this for content, but because of that, I don't really push too hard to try to buy product. I want to buy product, but I don't really push too hard. Whereas I know there's a lot of people when I see will push to buy product, will always ask people, hey, I'm buying, you have anything to sell? Or I see influencers who constantly post on their story like, I'm trying to buy a lot of cards, like come to my table and sell. And I mean, I don't think anything's wrong with that. It's just, I don't really want to be too pushy when it comes to it. And if someone does bring up that they're selling, I'll be like, oh yeah, of course, I'm buying right now. What do you have for sale? What are you trying to sell it for? And try to work out a deal. But that is the hardest part. You got to find ways to buy inventory at card shows, which will just happen naturally. Although if you do watch my previous videos, you'll see what I mean. I don't buy too many of stuff. There's not a lot of stuff that I bought. I have the numbers of everything I sold and everything I bought, and it's not that many things I bought. And I do buy basically almost everything if it's 70 to 80% and someone wants to sell it at a card show. But you'll see that if you look at my numbers in my previous videos, I don't actually buy that much at card shows because I'm not pushing too hard or like trying to persuade someone to sell me something. But that is the hardest thing about doing a card show. You got to find ways to buy on different marketplaces, local marketplaces, maybe online you find some deals. You just gotta find people to sell you stuff. And that is the hardest part about card vending. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about it because, I don't know, there's a lot to card vending. I just wanted to talk on this one specific point, but let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about people selling stuff to vendors for 70 to 80%. I know that's a very hot topic. A lot of people are like, don't do it. Like you got to sell for 90 to 100%. Let me know if you've ever sold anything for 70, 80%, how you feel about it. And then, yeah, let me know about your experiences as a vendor. If you have any questions on vending, anything that you want me to answer. I'm not an expert at vending. I've only vended 5 days this year, and that's pretty much the extent of what I'm done vending wise, but I do want to grow in that. I do want to grow in my social media video making. I'd really appreciate you to subscribe to my YouTube. I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. That is a goal of mine. I'm only a little bit over 300, and the reason why I'm trying to get to 1,000 is you get to join their content creator program, and that's one of the things you have to have. And I know it's going to be a lot of making videos and consistency, but that's one of my goals of what I'm trying to do. So I'd really appreciate it if you would follow me on or subscribe to my YouTube, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. They're all TCG Collectors House. Drop a comment, drop a like, drop an upvote. They all do help with the algorithm of showing the video to other people. So I really appreciate it. I'd really appreciate just any support. And most importantly, I mean, only do it if you really enjoyed watching the video. I don't really want you to do it if you didn't. And yeah, I really appreciate you watching. That's the most important thing. And I'll see you next time.